you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. I decided to sing it for a change, so we'll let the Iron Lady opera singer have a break this day. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. Remember to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Give us a 5-star review over there on the iTunes. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, chrisvoss.com, chrisvoss.com. No, don't go to chrisvoss.com. That's some SNL guy. Go to chrisvoss, facebook.com. You know, all the things. I say them every show. And if you haven't referred people to it, well, then I hope you lay in bed at night going, I feel so guilty. If not, whatever. We have an amazing new author on the show, and she evidently kicks ass. I think from when I've looked at her stuff, she is owning that brand. Angie Colee joins us on the show. She has her newest book that's coming out November 27th, just in time for Black Friday, where you can give it away to all your friends, neighbors, relatives for Christmas. It makes the perfect Christmas gift, as it were. It's called Permission to Kick Ass, let's recut that. Permission to kick ass, creatively rebel against the old business rules without selling your soul or losing your mind, both of which I have done. And that's how I got here. That's how I got this job, selling my soul to Satan. I got $5 for it. Angie is business mentor for rule breakers and rebels. She believes creativity is one of the most valuable assets on the planet, and that people, not profits or processes, are the most important part of business. Her mission is to help you how to grow your business with more confidence and less stress without becoming a completely different person, losing your edge, or going on the murdering spree. Wait, that wasn't in the bio. I just added that.
I approve of that edit.
Never do the murdering. That's what the judge said they can't do anymore. Angie has a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon and has consulted with and run creative teams for Jeff Walker's Product Launch Formula, Masterclass, Lowe's, Copy Chef, or Copy Chief, actually, Orzi Media, and Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad brand. When she's not, I don't know what Richard Kiyosaki's doing, but when she's not writing or publishing new episodes of her podcast, Permission to Kick Ass, you'll find her on the road, living as a full-time nomad with her cats, Stella and Ollie, all kicking ass. Welcome to the show. How are you, Angie?
I'm doing great. I told you before we started recording, the energy is making me feel good. And I got to be honest, I felt like you sang the intro for me. Did you not know I was a blues singer?
Oh, really? I didn't even know I sung in blues. I'm so awful at singing.
We could have done a duet thing, could have made it a whole production.
My singing isn't that good, isn't it? People tell me they turn the show off when they hear it. So that's why we hired that. That's why we hired that opera singer. Normally we have the opera singer come in. Where is the opera singer? Is she here? That's normally what we do, but I couldn't get to the button in time, so we left it off. She needed a break. She's got a lot. She's wearing that Iron Lady opera thing from the Bugs Bunny thing that's always in my head. But it was in the horns. Yep, there you go. Everybody knows that, probably except for Gen Zers, but no one cares. So Angie, give us your .coms, where people can find you on the interwebs, and 30,000 overview of your new book.
Awesome. Well, you can find me at permissiontokickass.com. That's all one word. That's where you'll find out about new episodes of my podcast, everything that I'm doing with my travels and my business. 30,000 foot overview of the book it's everything I wish I had known the first time I tried a business, because I went out on my own and I failed very, very miserably.
And that's usually what a lot of entrepreneurs do. So what happened after that?
Well, I wound up at one point living on my best friend's couch. Picture it. It's 3 adults, 3 cats, and a baby in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in Mountain View, California. It got
Sounds like
pretty
a sitcom.
miserable. Yeah, I mean, it could have been at some point if anything was gonna lead to any kind of murderous rage, it was gonna be staying in that much close
Yeah,
proximity
it
for much longer than we did.
sounds like a Friends spinoff. There you go. So,
Yeah,
give
the
us a
things that you do.
30,000 overview of what you put in the book, how you help people do better at kicking ass and taking names.
I think it's really about learning to trust yourself, especially in a society that has really indoctrinated us
Mm,
into becoming good workers and following all of the steps. Well, I followed all of the steps several freaking times because apparently it takes me a long time to learn my lesson. And each time when I got to the end, I was like, "Where's the happiness that I was where is the success and the happiness that I was promised?" Turns out it doesn't quite work that way when you're
mm.
trusting somebody else's process instead of your own.
There you go. It doesn't, it's their happiness.
Mhm.
That's what they're you're just a cog in the wheel, and you're just part of the slave ship there.
Mhm.
That's why billionaires always like, get back into the office. You guys need to
Yeah.
work more. It's like you don't work at all. Shut up. So
Yeah.
there you go. And you don't pay
And
me
it was
crap. So there you go.
It was really hard to work in the office too. I'm a creative by trade. When I was in the office as a copywriter, I can't tell you how many times
Mhm.
somebody came over to my cube and said, "Hey, you got a minute?" Poof, that thought was gone, never to be recovered again. And that could have been the $1,000,000 idea, but somebody had to come over and interrupt me. That doesn't happen at home, incidentally, billionaire guys. Just saying.
There, there you go. There you go. That happened to me one time. I was filming in my house, and I thought to myself, this would be a really great thing to get people to pay for this. And then OnlyFans started. No, that's not joke. I still can't joke. I still can't. People on a journey there.
Yeah.
What are some tips and advice that you give to people in the book on how not to become that cog in the wheel?
Uh, I think it's to trust in the fact that creativity is super important, as you mentioned in my bio, especially now that AI has come onto the scene. I'm
Mhm.
already starting to see it. I know other business leaders are starting to see it. People are freaking outsourcing their thoughts to these bots.
Mm,
People are not understanding how to think creatively, how to solve problems for themselves. If they get stuck, they turn to the bots, right? And it's like
mhm.
any kind of muscle, if you're not exercising your brain, you're gonna lose all of those neural pathways and those connections. You're not gonna be able to think anymore. So I think the new currency is going to be creativity. It's going to be
Oh,
human connection. It's going to be being able to demonstrate your expertise instead of just talking about your expertise, because now we got bots to talk about our expertise for us. So how do you articulate yourself? It
ah.
takes practice and it takes trusting your own intuition.
There you go. You talked about in your bio about how creativity is the most important thing ever, I believe. I was trying to find it really quickly here. But
Mhm.
I think you're right. I mean, creativity is important in the propagation of the species. Hubba hubba. Um, every great new product innovation comes from being creative. If we weren't creative, we'd still be, I don't know, we'd still be sitting around. We don't create the wheel or fire, and we're just sitting in a cave or something if we don't get creative. So
Mhm.
the whole world hinges on our ability to be creative and come with new things, think new things, and come up with new stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think you
Yeah.
nailed it too, because so often people tell me that, "Oh, well, I'm not a creative," as if a creative is a thing. Yes, there
Mhm.
are artists. I'm a writer. There are musicians. There are people that work in creative fields as creatives, but there's creative engineering. There's creative accounting. Whether or not that's legal is up to you. But there's creative ways to tackle about any problem that needs solving out there. So I also really want to redefine creativity, because it's just connecting two thoughts that don't seem to be connected in a way that's new and interesting or useful.
There you go. Creativity is a superpower, according to your website. I would highly agree with you. And the AI being able to innovate now with the AI and come up with stuff. I mean, AI. Sometimes we'll throw in questions for the show into AI, and it'll come up with some really good questions.
Mhm.
There's different ways that rewrite stuff. It's kind of crazy some of the stuff it comes up with. You've seen some of the images that it will take and make. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, create mixed ninja fighting turtles with American Pie and see how that what does that look like? It's stupid shit that you're just like, what? And but then you see it and you're just like, wow, that's kind of funny.
Mhm.
That's better than Monet. Fuck Monet.
I saw a
Yeah.
good one the other day that was
Did you?
like they asked AI to come up with kind of a human representation of every state. And the one when it got to Florida, it was like this lizard man. Lizard alien man in a straw hat and a Hawaiian shirt. And I was like,
Sounds
I
appropriate.
mean, I lived in Florida. That could be fairly accurate depending on the neighborhood.
Florida man. It always rules the headline. Anytime you see Florida man, it never ends well.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It's never like Florida man saves baby from drowning. It's never
No.
that. No, it's always like Florida man ate someone's face off with bath salts. And you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not ever going there.
Yeah.
That Disneyland ride is awful, it sounds like. So what are some other tips that you advise in your book that can help people out there?
It's really boiling things down to the simplest possible solution because often that's the thing that we're the most scared to do.
Hmm.
So when we're in that fear space, it's really tempting to add in extra steps or go study another thing or go take another course or try a new tactic, add all of these layers of insulation in between me and the yes or no that's going to happen at
Ah,
the end of the. And so I tell people that the aha came to me when I realized the difference between outbound marketing and inbound marketing. Most of us that go into entrepreneurship for the first time are taught about inbound, the
hmm.
funnels and the building the authority content and the tripwire and the lead magnet and getting all of these people to come to you. Yes, and that's the long game. That's not going to show any traction for a while unless you're willing to pay ads or go out there and get partnerships to like really goose this traffic engine. If you want to get started fast and you want to make money and you want to validate the offer, you got to get comfortable going out there and saying, "Hey, I have a thing for sale. It does XYZ. Do you need this thing? Cool, let's talk."
There you go.
And then create deals. And that is so profoundly uncomfortable for people, myself included, that was a big part of my strategy when I went out the second time and succeeded at my freelance copywriting career. I just started reaching out to people and saying, "This is what I'm doing. Do you need
Yeah.
help? Do you know anybody that needs help? Let's talk."
Tell people this is my thing and put your shingle out there and wave it all around. That's what works on my
Mhm.
OnlyFans channel. No, but yeah, you never know if something's going to sell until you put it out there. You never know until you make your offer to people and say, "Hey, I want to do some business. I got some stuff to do." There's a billion people in the world. There's a few billion actually. Last time I checked. And there's lots of sales opportunity, and everyone's at different places in their life, and their needs are different things. But it seems like there's, judging by the amount of magazines there are for every different variation of hobby you could have or interest you could ever have, or a website or a porn site. I don't know why we're doing callback on that. But basically, some callback jokes are just that good.
You're on a
Um,
roll today.
yeah, I'm on a roll. There's a lot of OnlyFans going on. Do I get a check from them for these plugs? So, there's a lot of this going on until you ask for the sale. You can't close one.
Mhm. And so many people are convinced that they've gotta have the idea, that it's gotta be perfect, and this is why we see folks, myself included when I first got started, gotta have the perfect brand name, gotta have the colors in the palette, gotta build the website, and it's gotta have the perfect I gotta get it all perfect before I can put it out there. I don't know if I can swear, my first instinct was to say
Sure.
BS
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
bullshit. I call bullshit.
There you go.
You don't have to have it all perfect. You can screw your way up all the way to the top and keep messing up there. I mean,
Hmm.
how many people think Elon is doing things 100% right now? A guy's still rolling in he's Scrooge McDucking in his billions at night, so I think he's doing just fine.
I think the one thing that's working for him is the Ketamine Cowboy stuff. So, have fun with that, buddy. We can see it. We can see it not working on your Twitter feed.
Yeah. We
But
just gotta detach from that ego. Like, if somebody doesn't wanna work with you, that's not a reflection on you. It doesn't
mm,
mean that your offer sucks. It doesn't mean that you'll never work in this town again. It literally just means that that is not something that they're into right now. That's all
yeah,
that is. And
yeah.
so I really wanna help, especially creatives that know how to, I'm talking like copywriters, graphic designers, photographers. We know how to create something out of thin air, out of our imaginations. It can be really hard to detach from that
Mhm.
when someone doesn't like it. So yeah, it's a work. It's a piece that I created that I built for somebody else. My job is to put the art out into the world, not to control how it's received. And that's more of the stuff that I want to see in the world. More
No,
creative people
no.
out there valuing it just as much as the tech.
put the art out there. If they don't like it, it's their problem. I think George
Yeah.
Carlin said that, if you write good jokes and they're funny in one town or most towns, but you go to some towns and they just die, well, those people are just stupid.
Put that one down for not coming back to this place again.
Yeah. George Carlin's just like, if they didn't find it funny, but it's funny elsewhere, and then it's
Mhm.
funny, those people just don't worry about those people. They'll be fine.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think a lot of these aspects are important. One of the things you talk about is unlocking your inner resilience, thriving in times of chaos. We've kind of been through some chaotic times lately. In fact, it seems like a daily thing now. How do we find our inner resilience?
I think that's all part of a function of trusting your gut and trusting yourself to figure it out,
Hmm.
which a lot of us don't have these days. I've told a story on other podcasts about kind of how I got to this point and what got me after 5 years to actually publish the book. And it started with being dumped at
Oh.
the end of the first year of the pandemic, late 2020. I
Hmm.
had everything. I was in the process of buying a house with my then partner. I was running a marketing team for a very big name in internet marketing, think like Tony Robbins for online business,
Wow.
and was working up the guts. Took me about 4 months working up the guts to turn in my notice to this job and start my podcast, Permission to Kick Ass, and write my book.
Oh.
And 6 days after I turned in my notice, he said he didn't love me the way that I loved him, and he was moving into the new house that he bought behind my back. And I was like, "Well,
Holy
yeah,
crap-a-moly. There's a
yeah,
story for the book.
yeah."
There
Talk
you go.
about having to figure it out and your world turning upside down. Like, I know that that is not the most devastating thing to happen, but at the time, I was pretty devastated.
That's pretty up there. Then
Yeah.
you don't have a house anymore, and then you ain't got no job.
Yeah, and
And
I had this sad and that happened in a space of minutes. I went from having everything to having pretty much nothing that I had planned on.
wow.
But I got sad, of course, because everybody gets sad after a
Yeah.
dumping, but then I got pissed off and was like, "He's left me with some options, right? And I'm
Yeah.
fortunate to have options instead of hard choices, but I don't like any of these freaking options.
Yeah.
So you know what? I've always wanted to travel and I could never get one of these idiots to go travel with me. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure out how to how to travel with a cat to places I've never been to with people that I don't know while trying to build a business and figure out how to launch a podcast. Talk about throwing yourself into the deep ends."
There you go. I mean, sometimes that's how you get through these times and figure out where the next step is you've gotta you gotta it's kinda like trying to find your step across a pond or a minefield. You gotta hang your leg out there and try and figure out which stone is the one to step onto, or maybe you find some new stones. But
Yeah.
yeah, so basically, you reached a point with him when he broke up with you and you lost the job, where you're just like, "I'm here for bubblegum and kicking ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum." That line from that famous movie. I like
I
that
love that quote. Well, and it's really interesting because
one.
I was really close with the people that I worked with on that team when I told them what was happening because of course, I went AWOL for a little bit while I was processing the first couple days. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" I told them what's happening and they go, "Oh, you can come back." Like they offered me my job back. They
Wow.
offered to undo everything. They offered to keep me around. But something in my soul knew that if I took that safe road, that I would probably work there forever. I would be too scared to ever
Wow.
follow my own gut, follow my own path. And so that was part of the impetus to just like take this show on the road and figure it out. And that was one of the first lessons that I learned on the road and why I call this permission to kick ass. Sometimes you got to choose to do the thing and just trust yourself to figure it out after you've already committed to it.
And until you commit to it, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know. So you have to commit. You've got to go all in, because if you don't, you don't know where it's going to be. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great line. I'm here for bubblegum, or I'm here for bubblegum and kicking ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Mhm.
There you go. So now you do some consulting and coaching, I think, on the side too, as well. Is that true?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I work with creative service providers, thought leaders, basically people that use intellectual property and create businesses out of that.
Ah,
That's what my master's degree is in. It was a weird creative hybrid degree for design for Hollywood to help make the shows and the movies that keep that business running.
Mhm.
So I help them figure out how to add more fun into their business, how to leverage the ideas that they've already created and create more revenue streams
Mhm.
and do it without losing themselves, losing their minds. I'm big on not losing your mind if you don't have to.
Sounds like you've been through some lose your mind experiences, so you're
Yes.
good at helping people, you know, overcome that and come back off the roll. And then you've got your podcast where you talk to people about kicking ass and taking names, I suppose.
It's the show that I wish I had the first time I started as an entrepreneur. Because for a long time, I don't know if you go to business conferences or anything like that, but you see these shiny, successful speakers on stage giving their presentation about like one weird trick I used to add $1 million to my bottom line in the last 6 months, right? And it's perfect and it's polished and it's practiced and they're selling from stage. And it's real easy when you're not at that level to put some judgment on yourself that's not necessarily accurate. And that was me when I
Huh.
first started my business. Like they're up there shining. I'm over here perpetually fucking things up. I am never going to be up there. I'm never going to have it figured out like that. And then at one event, I happened to overhear one of these shiny, happy star speakers at the bar talking about how they lost their biggest client and got hit with a lawsuit
Yeah.
at the same time. And they didn't know what they were going to do. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, you could be screwing it up and have success. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
That's the whole fun of success is even when you're successful, you're screwing it up and getting
Yes.
sued, of course, is always the fun part. Um
Yeah.
the yeah, it's kind of one of those things that disappoints me in this world that we don't talk enough about the those dark nights, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into starting a company and becoming successful,
Hmm.
those doubts, what it was like. People will talk about in their books if you read them, but it seems like, especially in Instagram, where we have so much fakeness and FOMO and people putting up
Hmm.
fake, you can go have pictures on a private jet taken for you that you can barely afford the pictures. You probably write a check.
Hmm.
Um, and you can try and fake your way to success, but really people are going to know if you're full of shit eventually,
Hmm.
and
The truth will out.
the truth will out eventually. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that I was like, man, for 2 years I really thought you were successful on social media with everything you do, and turns out you now admitted that you're living out of your car.
Hmm.
Like, okay, well, had me on that one, got me on that one.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting how people still support them, and I'm just like, they lied to you for 2 years. You're gonna keep throwing money at that?
Hmm.
Um, but the journey. It's all about the journey. I think we focus too much on the destination.
Absolutely. And the fantasy of the overnight hockey stick success when it really just looks like a jumbled arrow that's going all over the place. Nobody knows what direction that's going.
Yeah.
And I was super scared to start the podcast at first because I knew what I was asking these people to do. I was asking them to come on and present the less perfect side of themselves as a business owner, admit
Mhm.
to mistakes, admit to disasters. And I was very scared, especially with the first probably 10, 20 episodes that we wouldn't go deep. We would stay super surface level, kind of like the interview. What's your biggest weakness? Oh, I'm such a perfectionist. More bullshit. We can see right through those canned responses, right? But then in the first week, I had somebody talk about not feeling like they were qualified to be an entrepreneur because they had a day job and a side hustle. I
Huh.
had somebody else talk about um, never really feeling like he knew what he was doing, even though he was approaching the $1 million a year in revenue mark. I
Wow.
had somebody talk about losing 80% of her business over the course of 2 weeks and walking in on her son and husband talking about shutting things down and how they were going to recover. And like when
Oh,
it got deep like that, I was like, I'm on to something here. People
yeah.
want to tell these stories.
Give us the ugly journey, man. What
Yeah.
the people who woke up at 50 and decided to start a business or decided to do something else. Give me those people, because
Hmm.
like we just see people are successful and just go, oh, why can't I be like
Hmm.
them? And you're just like, do you know how much bloodletting they put out to do them? They're probably down to one kidney and half a lung or whatever they sold to make success. And for me, sold my soul, and for
Hmm.
$5, it was a good deal at the time. But
Another good callback.
another good callback. There you go. There you go. So final thoughts as we go out, and what anything we might have missed. Pitch out to people to pick up the book.
Oh, that's such a good question. I think understanding that there is so much mental game to this, and
Mhm.
you mentioned something that I want to highlight that I think is really smart. Um, Often we're looking at somebody that we admire and thinking, I really, really want what they have.
Mm.
But we only want a piece of what they have. We want the easy parts, the thing that we perceive. Until you're really ready to trade 100% of your life for 100% of theirs, I don't think you want what they have, because I don't want to be an Olympic athlete because I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day and work out for 6 hours straight.
Screw
I
that.
don't want to do it. I want to sleep in. I'm going to have the pizza. That's what I'm going to do. Um, so if you don't want it that bad, don't beat yourself up over it. You can
Mm.
find a way to do it that works for you. But we got to stop envying other people and and start being inspired by what they're doing and
Mhm.
going, okay, cool. That's possible. I see evidence of that right there in front of my face. How can I go do my version of that?
Yeah.
That's what I really want people to do.
Don't envy other people. Do the work. Like people
Mhm.
always ask me, like, Chris, what podcast do you listen to? And I think it's Sam. What's his face is one of the few that I listen to. Sam. Oh, he's the brilliant mind guy.
Mm,
I don't know why I can't place him right now. But so I listen to him, and who is it? It's Sam Harris.
mm.
Because I really like his stuff. It's very intellectual. It's not very funny, but it's very intellectual. And but that's about it. I don't really consume other people's podcasts unless I see them on TikTok. And people always
Mhm.
ask me, they're like, why? I thought, all you podcasters, I don't know, you go to podcaster club and hang out and have drinks or something. Like, no, man, I'm too busy. I got shit to do and I'm trying to get better, and I'm just too
Mhm.
busy making content. We do 3 to 4 shows a day, weekday,
Yes.
15 to 20 a week. We're just a little bit busy, and we're hammering down on, we're 100% engaged, just like you said. Jump in 100% and go.
Mhm.
And yeah, we try and compare notes with other people if we get a chance, but we're not sitting around. God, if I listen to someone else's show more than I listen to mine, we'd have a problem.
Mhm. Yeah, you can
So-
unintentionally borrow other people's influences if you're absorbing
yeah.
more than you're creating.
Yeah. I mean, some influences are good. And, I think people can do, what Tom Peters calls creative swiping. But,
Mhm,
doing the work, jumping in 100% and doing it, I try sometimes looking at other people and being like, how do they do it? And how should I do it that way?
mhm.
Everyone's personality is different. Like, there's a lot of great podcasters out there that I can't do that delivery. Maybe they're
Yeah.
really great comedians who are paid to be on the road, or maybe they're just really intelligent, like Sam Harris. Like me, me in a
Yeah.
word salad debate with Sam Harris would be probably entertaining to watch, because everyone just be like, "You're an idiot," and I just be like, "I flunked second grade. I can't help it. Please help me. This is like fighting. I don't know. He's brilliant. He knows everything. He has degrees. So there you go. Give us
I
your
thought I was the most self-deprecating person I knew. You're
yeah.
trying to take the trophy from me, man.
Oh, you should see what I deal with at night. Anyway, so give people a pitch out to buy the book, where they can find you on the interwebs, please.
You can find me at Permission to Kick Ass or at Angie Colee on most social media channels. The book is available for pre-order right now on Amazon. Releases on November 27th, as mentioned. It's got a really cool guidebook to go along with it that really helps with frameworks and exercises to wrap your head around how to get started fast, even though it's really intimidating sometimes how to put yourself out there. So I'm really excited to have people get the book, reach out, let me know how you're experiencing it, if you're loving it, if you're hating it. Well, send that message to somewhere else. I don't care
No
if
one
you hate it.
cares if they hate
But
it. Fuck those people.
yes,
That's what
exactly.
I say. When I reached a point where the day of my book was published, or a week before, I just had those thoughts that a lot of new authors have, where it was just like, what if no one reads this book? And
Mhm.
I came to the conclusion that I didn't give a fuck. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I spent a lot of time doing this book. I climbed this fucking mountain. I got this book out next week, and I told my life story, and it's memorialized for as long as, I don't know, Amazon's in business. I don't know,
Mhm.
40 years after I die or something. I got to tell my story, and it's in a book for however long that lasts. Some archaeologist is going to find it and be like, these people are idiots. Um, and it's out there. I told my
Yeah.
story, done, finale. I don't give a fuck if anybody buys it. I don't care.
Mhm.
I don't care anymore. I don't care. If
That
people
was the
like it, great.
experience That was the experience I had with launching it. I initially had this
Yeah.
big production plans, I'm turning 40 on December 1st. That was the reason that I pushed to get the book out.
Ah,
Like, yeah, I launched a book, 40th birthday, woohoo!
there you go.
And I realized I had this pressure on myself to do this great big over the top launch that was gonna instantly have me be the New York Times bestseller. And at some point last week, about 2 weeks out, I went, "No, I launched a book. That's all I care about. If I make 20 sales the first week, cool. This is the long game. The book is done. It's out
Yeah.
there."
And
Yeah,
then you got several years to promote it and stuff. So there you go.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
well, it's been fun to have you on the show, Angie, and I'm glad you finally given us all in my audience permission to kick ass.
Permission granted. You had it all along.
Oh, damn it. Really? Wow. All right. Well, now it's
Yeah.
official. Now it's official. So thank you, Angie, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
There you go. Thanks to our audience for joining in. Now you officially have given notice by Angie to go kick ass. So go forth, kick ass. Buy our book so you can help get advisory on how to get down that road of kicking ass. As always, go kick ass on goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big 130,000 group on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn newsletter. That thing just grows like a weed. Chris Voss 1 on TikTok and Chris Voss Facebook.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.